Well, hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Joanne. I am the Learner Lawyer. I've got huge computer troubles at the moment. Everything is frozen up. Everything is giving me a heartache. So we're going to see how we go tonight. So I apologize if we have some serious trouble, but I'm not winning at the moment. Every time I press something, it freezes. So there's a lot to talk about. We've got, see what I mean? Freezes. So we've got a lot to talk about tonight. I don't know if you can hear my voice. I don't know whether I stop this stream and start again. I don't know. I'm just really confused at the moment. Oops. I don't want to add to my stream. There we go. We're back. I know. I apologize, everybody. It's just very painful at the moment. And I had restarted I had restarted my computer and everything. So I don't think it's very happy with me at the moment. So I forgot to put my swimming pool. I forgot to put the background of my new house. Just give me a moment. There we go. We're done. Right. So I hope you're all well. So we've got a lot to talk about. We've got Todd Chrisely and KJ. I want to know whether she's got another cease and desist. There is. Hey Dan, how are you? Melissa Caddick. There's some stuff on there. There's a podcast at the moment that's around called Liar Liar. That's revealing some really interesting stuff into that matter, and it's gone back into court again. And yeah, we just want to look at some stuff, and also the Chief Minister of Northern Territory has resigned unexpectedly. Very, very interesting. So we want to look at that. Yeah, so we've got a lot. We've got a lot of stuff to do and to talk about. So, hey, the Fox, how are you? And I haven't been around for a while. I've had a huge amount of exam. So I'm going to try and get timestamps in here, just so that the people that want to watch certain material, certain people can, and those that don't have to. So we're going to do that. So, as I said, my computer is running very, very, very slow at the moment. So, the other thing is also Craig McLachlan is in court at the moment. He is suing a whole bunch of media people and an accuser of defamation. So there's a whole lot of stuff happening. You've been away for a while? Yeah, well, I have too. So we're going to start with Melissa Caddick. Let's start with Melissa Caddick. And we will see how we go. We could be in for a very long night too if this keeps up. I don't think it's liked all the work that my computers had to do for uni. Right, so we've got that. So, okay, share screen. I was staying with the Greyhound. You were staying with the Greyhound for a change, were you, the Fox? All right, here we go. So there is a podcast called Liar Liar. This is titled A Wolf in Chic Clothing. Melissa Caddick's 400,000 date night on Investors tab. Now we know that she has been accused, well, they call her a fraudster. She's taken money, Ponzi scheme. So, so there's a link here to Spotify. So on May the 8th, Liar Liar, Melissa Caddick and the Missing Millions. So this article says that She was determined to make an impression. In July 2018, the con artist and her second husband beamed for the camera on a makeshift red carpet outside her son's school gymnasium. Fellow parents would have been shocked had they been aware the couple, who were attending the school's fundraising ball, were decked out in more than $400,000 worth of luxury clothes, jewelry, and accessories. Now, in my opinion, that's really excessive for a school ball, correct? I find that to be extremely excessive. Why would you wear that much? All right. And it says all of it was purchased using funds Caddick had stolen from her friends and family who thought they were investing in shares. So, and unbeknownst to her husband, family, or friends, oh, now it's frozen up again. From 2012 until her disappearance in November 2020, she had been running one of Australia's biggest Ponzi schemes. You think 400k is excessive, full stop? I would have to agree with you there, the fox. So here's what they wore. Look at this. So this is what they wore to the fundraiser. So she had a sapphire and diamond necklace worth $250,000 and 40,000 plus matching earrings and bracelet, an engagement ring worth $34,000, a wedding band worth $26,500, a Yves Saint Laurent evening bag that doesn't have a price on it, a $14,180 embossed ball gown from the 2018 Oscar de la Renta collection. So that was and hello Bella Marie. He had a $26,000 wedding band, $8,000 cufflinks, and he had an $11,000 watch. That is what they wore to the ball. So it says over time, she squandered more than $23 million on lifestyle of unbelievable excess. Numerous overseas jaunts every year, European cars, designer clothes, accessory real estate, shoes, millions of dollars worth of jewelry. The now famous photograph showing Caddick in a magnificent midnight blue strapless ball gown epitomizes her extraordinary spending. The embossed ball gown, is from international fashion designer Oscar de la Renta. It cost $14,180. Kristen says, how could the husband not know? I don't know, Kristen. That is a really good question. I guess he was just thinking she was just earning money. So then they're talking about her engagement ring, $34,000, and then what he was wearing a $26,000 wedding band. Had their date night been a few weeks earlier, Caddick alone would have been sporting more than $1 million from the proceeds of crime. The podcast Liar Liar, Melissa Caddick and the Missing Millions reveals. In late May 2018, lot 658 at Bonham's Rare Jewelry Auction in Hong Kong featured a flawless single stone diamond ring weighing 6.03 carats. Described in the brochure as a true rarity in what was already a rare field world, the stunning diamond ring fetched a whopping $620,000. The vendor was none other than Melissa, who had fraudulently used her parents' money to complete the $590,000 purchase of the diamond the previous year. Remember, her parents sold their house, gave her $1 million to put on the mortgage, towards the mortgage, and she actually bought a diamond ring instead. With the costs associated with the sale taken out, Caddick's victims forked $124,000 for the privilege of the fraudster sporting the bauble on her finger for a year. When the corporate regulator ASIC and the federal police raided the Dover Heights house in November 2020, they took 48 separate pieces of jewelry worth more than $2 million. There was also a $100,000 necklace that Caddick had bought but hadn't yet collected from jeweller Stefano Santori. And we know that Mr. Coletti, her husband, wants to keep some of that jewellery. However, there remains a mystery over the whereabouts of several Argyle diamonds worth she pretended to be a financial investor. She pretended to be an investor. Oops. I told you I'm having my computer is not cooperating with me tonight at all. Anyway. All right. So, a certified diamond wholesaler told the podcast that when she offered Caddick a rare Argyle diamond worth $1 million, Caddick replied saying she'd already spent her jewellery investment budget for the year. A photo of 3 Argyle diamonds, which she said she'd bought in 2017 and 2018. So these are the rare diamonds. One of them caught my eye because it was a blue diamond, the diamond dealer said. They're very rare, but also very expensive, multiple millions of dollars. Caddick then said she planned to hold on to the diamonds for a couple of years and then sell them. When it was revealed that she had vanished within hours of the raid on her house, the diamond dealer reported Caddick Argyle diamonds to the police because of their extraordinary value and the ease of getting them out of the country. The dealer told police that airport scanners can't detect diamonds because they don't X-ray. Well, there you go. Okay. This is bizarre. So people gave her money to invest and she just bought diamonds with them. Well, you know what they say, diamonds are a girl's best friend. I don't know what my computer's doing here. Where is it? Oh, there it is. Okay. There we go. Oh. My virtual background's just died. Okay, that's okay. Right. Bruce Gleason, the court-appointed receiver tasked with selling Caddick's assets, has not located any Argyle diamonds. They don't have the diamonds. Gleason suggested, just as Caddick left a non-existent Aspen apartment in her will, it's not inconsistent with her behaviour for her to be lying about owing only millions of dollars worth of rare diamonds. So she said that she had this Aspen apartment, but there's no evidence about it. Kristen, we don't know. She just disappeared off the face of the known earth. Gleason suggested just as So this is her spending. Caddick's spending according to ASIC. This is clothing. Dior, $229,277. Chanel, $48,588. Cosmopolitan shoes, $52,548. Louis Vuitton, $17,777. Valentino, $14,180. Canturi Jewelers, $187,650. Farfetch, $45,600. Net-a-Porter, $39,575. Oscar de la Renta, $14,180. Bergdorf Goodman, $17,617. And personal expenses, $291,744. So that was 18 months. That was her spending on clothing in the last 18 months. Caddick's estimated to have spent about $500,000 a year on overseas travels. Among spending uncovered in the podcast includes details of $108,586 at Flight Centre, $63,000 on trips to Fiji, $35,151 on Aspen, plus $34,223 on renting an apartment in Aspen that she said that she owned. So she left, and apparently she left, or her husband believed that there was an Aspen apartment, but it would believe that there's no Aspen apartment. $37,000 $283 in New York, and $55,609. One expense of $43,273 was spent on a whim after arriving in Aspen, as Caddick decided the snow wasn't good enough. So the family decamped to the Canadian resort of Whistler instead. Experts have told the podcast that Caddick might have had a shopping addiction or whatever is known as a compulsive buying disorder. Perfectionism, dishonesty, insecurity, and the need to gain control have been linked to disorder. So this is the podcast. It's called Liar, Liar. So the Sydney Morning Herald's investigative journalist and Kate McLachlan and 60 Minutes Tom Steinford, they're doing a podcast and investigating what's happened to the money and what's happened to her. So that's what that podcast unveiled. But today there was some more stuff because the houses have to go. One of the houses is due for auction. So remember, Coletti has to move out of the house. So let's have a look here. I could think of lots of stuff that I could do rather than... So a public auction of the Dover Heights home of missing con artist. It's interesting how they keep referring to con artist. And Mr. Coletti doesn't like has protested about the term con artist, but that's what she is. A public auction of the Dover Heights home of missing con artist Melissa Caddick's risks turning into a circus because of the amount of publicity the matter has attracted, the federal court said. Stephen Gollich, senior counsel who represented the receivers of Caddick's assets, told Justice Bridget Markovic on Monday that a fresh argument had arisen between Caddick's parents, Barb. Yeah, I've got a cold plan to create. In fact, I've had several RATS tests and a PCR test because I feel horrible, and they're all negative, so it looks like it's a good old-fashioned cold. I haven't had a cold in 2 years, funnily enough. But anyway. Hello, Vendra. Yeah, I'm not having a good one. So a fresh argument had arisen between Caddick's parents and the receiver about the marketing and sale of the Wanningrara property that Caddick bought for $6.2 million in 2014. She acquired the house along with an apartment her parents are claiming a stake in using funds she stole from investors. From 2012 until her disappearance, she was running a Ponzi scheme, which we said, where she misappropriated more than $23 million in funds from investors who were mainly family friends. Only last week, the court gave go-ahead for the receivers to take possession of Dover Heights home, with Caddick's husband, Anthony Coletti, agreeing to vacate by the 18th of May. So Robert Newlands, SC, who's representing the Grimleys, complained that his clients were disappointed and perplexed to find receivers had not provided any details as to how their daughter's property was going to be marketed, on what terms real estates would be engaged, and how many valuations to be attained. Do they really need to be involved in that? Because this house that is being sold was the house that she owned and has to be sold for investors. So why do the parents need to know what's happening to it? Gollich said the receivers who were experienced in these kinds of sales were yet to decide the best way to sell the house. He flagged that a tender or expressions of interests might be chosen instead of an auction. Newland said the proceeds of the sale of Dover Heights should be used to pay off the mortgage on the Edgecliff property where the Grimleys live, as the bank is charging interest. Oh, that's funny. They want that house sold. They want the penthouse above Edgecliff Station was bought for $2.55 million by Caddick in 2014. Like Dover Heights, it still has a substantial mortgage. The Grimleys, who are in their 80s, claim they had an agreement with their daughter to be able to live there rent-free for the rest of their lives. They also gave their daughter $1.1 million to pay down the mortgage, but the court has heard that Caddick spent it on maintaining her lavish lifestyle. I appreciate out there in the community, out there in the community, it makes my client unpopular to say that they have interests that take precedence over other investors, said Newlands, noting the receiver has argued that the Grimley should be treated the same way as other investors who thought Caddick was investing their funds. The judge ordered that the receivers can appoint a real estate agent, prepare a contract for sale, and market the house. But before any sale is agreed, the matter will return to court for another directions hearing on the 15th of June. So it looks like it's going to have to go, the court's going to have to approve the sale by the looks of it, which is going to make it very hard to sell, in my opinion. So that's what's happened. Well, the parents gave her $1.1 million to put towards the mortgage of the property that they lived in, but it's been revealed that she spent it on her $14,000 $14,000 dress. So that's where we are at the moment. So it looks like every part of this case is going to court. I mean, don't forget that those court fees have to be paid by somebody. So do you think the parents should be treated like all the other investors, or do you think that they should get precedence because that was their daughter? Or should they be held, should the parents and the husband be held accountable for Caddick? I don't know. I'm just chucking that out there. I've got no idea. Equal treatment, says Kristen. I sort of agree with the equal treatment because, I mean, they were ripped off like everybody else. Now, the interesting thing is the apartment that they're living in, that has actually that's not being sold at the moment because they're looking or they've asked for proof of the agreement, and that. How long did the parents have that type of money? Couldn't they bought their own? The Fox, they actually had a home. So in the court, it was revealed that they actually had a home, and Caddick wanted them to live closer and had found a house for them. They sold their house and gave her $1 million. That's how the story goes. They thought that the $1 million was going towards the mortgage, and the mortgage was about $2 million. So I thought there was about $1 million left. They were paying money every month to contribute to the mortgage. None of that was paid. So that is where we are. Right. So that's the short version. So now, last week the court said that their property, or the one that the husband was living in, he had to move out, and the house had to be sold. But now the parents are saying, well, you need to tell us how this needs to be dealt with. And I don't think that they have to. I don't think that they need to be accountable to the parents. It's a receiver's job to get the most amount of money so that they can, do what's best for the people, in my opinion. All right. What else did I have on here? So there is at the moment, and I found the court listing in the Supreme Court of New South Wales. Oh, I lost it. Here. So this is the Supreme Court of New South Wales. So there is a case there, which is Craig McLachlan's case. Now, I wanted to show you this because this is how things are. So this is the highest court in New South Wales. This is frequently asked questions for the media. So first of all, you have to contact the court's media manager for anything. So now access will be granted to non-parties, including journalists, where existing guidelines, practice notes, and laws support open access and where no competing principles intervene. Journalists are required to submit an application to access court file to the court's media manager, who will organise a judge and or registrar to consider the request. It's not a free-for-all in Australia. As a general rule, in ongoing civil matters, the court will generally grant access to the originating process and to pleadings, so statement of claim and defence, before the matter goes to final hearing. Access will only be granted once all the parties have filed pleadings with the court and the matter has had its first return date. Journalists may also apply for documents which are read or tendered in open court during the course of proceedings. Once a civil matter is concluded, journalists may apply to view the whole court file, and that decision will be made by a registrar. In criminal matters, the court does not grant access to any documents or exhibits until the trial starts before a jury, or the accused has entered a plea of guilty and the matter proceeds to sentencing. So then it talks about they're permitted to use devices such as iPads, laptops, and smartphones for taking notes, but not permitted to film. And court officers may ask journalists to provide media identification. They can post on social media during court proceedings, provided they post only information or evidence presented to the jury, sentencing submission or remarks. A judge can direct journalists to stop using direct electronic devices or refrain from posting on social media. So if you want to film the court, you actually have to then fill out an application form. Permission to film is granted by the Chief Justice. So there's none of this, pulling up a website. So judgments now, the only thing that is accessible for people are judgments, because they're published on the New South Wales law website. The court has developed guidelines to help journalists cover criminal trials. These do not constitute legal advice, and media should obtain separate media advice if necessary. You can't interview judges or ask to speak to a judge. Journalists should contact the court's media manager with interview requests. This is about suppression orders, that that they don't release photos of judges. You can get a stock. You can ask. Media can request for an official photo. Photos of judges used in media should show them fully robed and wigged, unless otherwise approved in the court, because it offers some degree of anonymity. Media organisations are never permitted to film or photograph a judge moving outside a court complex. Outside court lists the speeches, transcripts, and social media. So that is how it works here in Australia for that's New South Wales Supreme Court. So that's essentially would be very similar to a lot of the other courts in Australia. So you can see it's not a free-for-all. There are public interest, each do have public interest cases. So Craig McLachlan, if you remember, some of you may remember that he was charged for some for SA. So his defamation trial started today in the Supreme Court in New South Wales. So it's expected to run 5 weeks. So Craig McLachlan's suing the media. He's suing ABC, Fairfax Media, for defamation over stories from 2018 that contained allegations he indecently assaulted, harassed, bullied, and exposed himself to a female cast during the 2014 tour of the Rocky Horror Show. He's also suing actress Christine William-Brown, who made the allegations to the ABC 7:30 program and the Sydney Morning Herald. So Fairfax is now owned by Nine. So Michael Hodge QC, the lawyer representing William-Brown and the media, told the jury 11 women would give evidence during the trial about the inappropriate encounters they had with McLachlan during performances, filming, and behind the scenes. 6 of the women worked on the 2014 Rocky Horror Show production. 1 worked on the 2018 Rocky Horror Show production. Another worked with McLachlan on soap opera Neighbours, and 1 was a showrunner on Channel 7's City Homicide series, and 2 were actors in the Dr. Blake Mysteries. Mr. Hodge told the court 3 of the actors from the Rocky Horror Show who played the role of Janet would give evidence about the alleged indecent touching during the bedroom scene. The court heard that these women would allege McLachlan, who portrayed character of Dr. Frank and further, would kiss and touch their breasts and other parts under the bed covers and out of view of the audience. Mr. Hodge said it was not something McLachlan had been directed to do and that had not been agreed to do with the other actors. The court heard that Will and Brown would give evidence during a show in Perth. McLachlan pulled her underpants to the side while under the covers and kissed her bottom, and she was also touched inappropriately during a Melbourne performance. Remember, these are just all allegations. However, McLachlan later gave evidence that he only kissed the actors who played Janet on the shoulder or arm during the bedroom scene. During the trial, Will and Brown will also give detail another night on stage when McLachlan grabbed her by the jaw and aggressively threw her face to one side. Mr. Hodge said that wasn't something in the script. Mr. Hodge told the jury that while McLachlan and Will and Brown didn't have the same sense of humour, there's a point of overlap that's pretty filthy. It's a jury trial. You'll likely conclude Will and Brown finds things funny that other people might find highly offensive. McLachlan then took the stand and told the jury that physical displays of affection and practical jokes between Rocky Horror cast members were very common backstage and during rehearsal. He narrowed in on Will and Brown being the goosing queen of the cast, explaining that a goose is when somebody uses a couple of fingers to poke somebody else between the buttocks. Hello, Cal. It was one of Will and Brown's regular gags throughout the tour. Wedgies were also popular. McLachlan said Will and Brown would often try to dack some of the male cast members, meaning to pull their pants down during a previous season in Brisbane. Came into McLachlan's dressing room and asked if he could see her lady parts through the stage underwear. He recounted how the pair were good friends during the Rocky Horror production and met for the first time while working on the 2005 arena production of the musical Grease. Our relationship at that time was terrific, lots of laugh. McLachlan was shown a photo of the pair posing backstage and explained Will and Brown asked him if they could do some quasi-porno shots in their costumes. She said, I can lean against the wall and pull her hair. I said, I will do the poses, but I won't pull your hair. Yesterday, the actor's lawyers accused the ABC in Fairfax of launching a double-prong attack, which damaged McLachlan's reputation, and the hearing's going to go for 5 weeks. So there you go. But if you remember, he got found not guilty on the criminal charges, and then he decided to sue for defamation. So there you go. Yeah, I don't really know what to say about that. That's just pretty interesting. Look, I don't know how a media organisation, as long as they do the fair reporting, if they're reporting that someone has accused somebody else, if they've reported that this person has accused McLachlan of this, then as far as I'm concerned, it's as long as it comes under fair reporting, so they're going to have to prove that they're doing fair reporting. All right, let's get on to Todd Chrisely. So things have really heated up here. We've got I don't know, you've probably seen all of this. Just in case you haven't, we've got trial dates. There's a jury trial. So we've got the order where the date was the Zoom was postponed. We've got, because she's supposed to be doing her counterclaim, nothing's been filed. There's a motion hearing on the 20th of July. And then there is a pre-trial hearing on the 10th of March, 2023. And the 10th, the 11th, the 12th, the 13th, and the 14th of April 2023 is the jury trial. Now, does that sound like a matter that has disappeared, unlike the statement that was stated recently? Have I become a journalist yet? No, I'm nowhere near a journalist. The other thing is, we know the 7M dates are coming. Fair reporting. Hey, I can live in Hope the Fox. So we've got a remote hearing with instructions. So that's been released. And that's on the 27th of the 5th. 27th of May is the 7M stuff. So talking about, so after she went after the Kardashians, we're just going to look at some of these because this was her reaction to all the stuff on Amber Heard, because as we know, she has been she's everywhere I turn, people are talking about Johnny Depp. I'm over here with my cat. This is not an open invitation for debate. Comments are off. I hope you enjoy the distraction. And she's already said that she believes Amber Heard's, telling the truth. So then she said, well, my source just reached out and said the Duggars did a dance at the vow renewal. Oh, dear. John, Joy, Abby and Katie were all seen dancing at the event. Joy even danced with her son Gideon. Jed appeared to stand off in the distance and watch. The Duggars have come a long way from the no dancing. And then Derek Dillard says, in my opinion, it's unhealthy if adult children are pressured to have the same convictions as their parents. Yes, Derek Dillard has responded. Yes, she has stated that, and she won't talk about it. That's why she's not covering the case. Now, I find this really interesting. This headline says, I will find a way out of this. It says, Duggar deadline's approaching. Now, I sort of put on Twitter that if you replace Josh's head with Katie Joy's, I will find a way out of this. Chrisely deadline's approaching soon, or 7M deadline approaching soon. She's really got to be careful what she says. So the sentencing is due. Sentencing memorandums are due by Wednesday, May the 11th. In federal court, sentencing memorandums are typically written by both prosecution and defense. The documents present the arguments that support the proposed sentence. Defense attorneys will attempt to present a full picture of the defendant and any mitigating factors. The documents contain character letters. The judge uses these to help get a clear picture. Whether someone is convicted or not, their rights to proper representation are extremely important to ensure a fair and just assessment. Each side will be able to respond to the other and oppose the memorandum. Ultimately, the judge makes the determination. Judges in federal court do not have much flexibility as others because they have to stay within the guidelines of the charge. We know that he's only going to get about between 10 and 20 years. Probably 15. I'm betting he will get 5 or less. That won't happen. He was already offered 10. The thing is, he possibly could get 5. He could get less than 5. In my opinion, this is just my opinion, the only way he went to trial was because he knew that 10 was going to be too, he would get less than 10. If he thought he was going to get more, if they really thought he was going to get more than 10, they would have taken the plea deal. Just my opinion. But yeah, he'll get between 5 and 10. Sorry, he'll get between 5 and 10, in my opinion. I'll have to look up the sentencing. I'll have to look up the Sentencing Act in Australia. So now we've got Counting On fans should recognise this property. It's a mobile home that John and Abby Duggar lived in while they filmed. The building next door is used by John for Medicorp training. However, the property records show that Jim Bob leased this building to a Pentecostal church. Oh dear me, not the Pentecostals. The property is still listed as a church in Washington County, though records through the Secretary of State show the church is not active. A fundamental Baptist leasing to the Assemblies of God. Legalism versus charismatic. My head is officially exploding. Can I get 7.5? Oh look, he might get 9. He might get 10, and then get a non-parole period of 8. So this was an interesting one. This was the Mother's Day post. Now, normally on Mother's Day, you see people talk about their mothers and how much they value and respect their mothers, how much they love their mother. This is this post. You tell me what you think. My son lives in a world where I'm his magic unicorn that makes his owies go away, wipes away his tears, comforts him when he's scared or sad, laughs with him, plays with him, and makes everything all better. I love being a mum. I love being his mum. Being a mum is the most important job I have. I'm humbled that to a 9-year-old little boy, I'm his world. What he doesn't know is that he's my world. He's taught me more about life than I ever thought possible. He's made me dig deep, learn how to advocate, and find a way to persevere. He's taught me about dinosaurs, Trevor Henderson's magical world, Peppa Pig, Godzilla, and mystical creatures like the unicorn. Most importantly, he's taught me what unconditional love is all about, and I will never take that for granted. As he says, my mummy loves unicorns because they are sparkly purple and beautiful just like her. To all the mothers out there, I truly hope someone little thinks you are their magical unicorns. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there and single dads too. I just thought it was really interesting that I just found it really interesting that she didn't say anything about her mother for Mother's Day. That was all. That post was all about her, in my opinion. You know, it's. I know that Toad did a post. Many creators wish their viewers a happy Mother's Day, but not KJ. She uses that day to boost herself, says Billy. Hello, Billy. Yeah, well, I mean, she could have also, she didn't wish her mother a happy Mother's Day either. I know Toad posted a wish her a happy Mother's Day. That's his job to do that, not her job. But it's pretty sad if you've got to give your own Mother's Day greeting. I'm just saying. Right. Now, as WOACB was the first to report, I said it first. Abby Duggar's pregnancy announcement several months ago. They have finally announced they're pregnant with a baby boy. Abby expecting baby number 2 this summer. The couple did not keep pregnancy secret from their friends or family or church, so a word of pregnancy was out after she passed the first trimester. Congratulations. Someone says, I'm sitting here laughing because some nut in the Duggar News Pickle Hairspray Facebook group said WA's not a reliable source concerning Abby's pregnancy. And then she goes, I had a good source. I suspiciously remember the raid. She went after me for reporting the raid happened. Then somebody literally... I think that a lot of the same people who post on Reddit also reach out to me. I know for a fact that many of the friends I speak to have accounts on Reddit. The Duggets do not like Reddit or me for some reason. Oh, yes, they know Josh and Anna hate it. So there you go. No, she was speculating. She wasn't. And anyway, it's not her news to spill. Now, this is very interesting. Tell me whether this is a cease and desist. It says, please stop using our photos on your account and remove any photos of our students from your account. Some of our students are minors. You do not have written permission from any of our students to be using their photos to further your business, and it is a reckless invasion of privacy for you to use them in this manner. Now, the thing about Facebook is that you do have to, in Australia, you actually have to have permission to post minors' photos on Facebook. And usually we actually have to do it as a private group where you actually have to register. So it has to be a private group if you want to see those photos. So I don't know whether it's the same over there. But if somebody's taking the pictures and using them for publicity, it would be, it would be an invasion of privacy. She says, oh, look, the IBLP are mad that I posted photos of Jackson Duggar. Jackson is a minor, but the photos were shared on their public Facebook, Instagram, and Flickr accounts. None of the photos are marked private and anyone can access. That doesn't mean that it's right, Katie. Just because you can do it doesn't mean you should do it. There's something called integrity. You know? Somebody drops $20. I could pick it up and put it in my pocket. that doesn't mean that I should. Just because you can do something doesn't mean you should do it. No mention about their camps, questionable practices, or applications which ask cadets to report if they've been SA'd, if they struggle with homosexual feelings, if they're being physically abused, if they've had premarital sex, if they look at adult content, if their parents are divorced. Then require cadets to have their mail filtered through and so no women can contact them while they're at camp. Do you know hey, Katie, guess what? Prisons have their mail filtered too. And a lot of businesses filter their mail too. Like, she makes it sound like it's I mean, look, it is a little bit weird, but it's not anyway. Also, Jackson will be 18. If the Fox, you would have to sign a release form. You have to. I know for me, we have to have our parents sign a release form. Also, Jackson will be 18 on May 23. Alert literally live streamed the first day on Facebook. Have to sign. Joanne, doesn't mean you wouldn't. I have to sign permission for my son's school to use photos on him for their website, Facebook, but that doesn't give permission for anyone else to. Correct. Plan to create. Just because, yeah. Can you imagine putting all those images out and then blaming the reporter for reporting on the event? Only in the IBLP. Dear alert, it's not an invasion of privacy it's an invasion of privacy to disclose to you if they've been sexually abused in order to be admitted to your program. I'm a bit mixed on that because I think, look, if there is somebody that has written it out and they've admitted to it, for me, they could get help. That's just me, though. Your group is using the images to further your business. I'm reporting that after everything that's happened with Josh, the Duggars are still using programs that many claim do not work. So I'm wondering, what do you think? I mean, I agree with Plan to Create. I mean, Instagram, the schools are doing their Instagram, but just because they're photos doesn't mean that you can grab them and do them. So do you think that's a cease and desist? Now she's going, real questions from the mandatory application for the alert account. Report on the program, yes. Report on student attendees, no, says Plan to Create. I agree. And again, she's walking a very, very thin line because she's told she's blasted that they've asked her to not do it, and she's done it. This is also publicly available document on their website. Why do adults need an explanation from a child about their SA? Well, maybe they can't tell anybody. Maybe they can't tell anybody, and that they're more likely to put it on a form than they are to tell people. I don't know. As I say, I'm mixed about the form. I don't agree with it. Our grass will get a chance to recover from the drought last year. Poor Frida. Nervous dogs during a thunderstorm. Oh, is there panting and pacing? Oh, is there sound? Oh, look at this. Sorry. I don't know if you can hear that panting. Now, do I put this up? Do I blast this all over social media because she's put it all over social media? Okay. Catching up on the season 5 seasons of Sister Wives, I noticed the evolution of Cody's hair. I can't believe I forgot about the man bun and the skullet. Also, in an episode about Cody, they reveal he wore hair extensions during one season. This man. Then it says, someone says, Katie Joy, do you have an email address for contacting you? I found a few yes, tips can be sent to. So she's just put her email address. Oh, the other thing is here, Let me go here. Back here. Oh, she changed it. Because she put something about Katie Joy. But no, now she's changed it, yeah. So, I mean, imagine though, with all the photos that are of her son on public pages, what she would do if you started using the photos of her son. People have said that, Billy. It looks like Toad. I've seen the comparison. Someone says, I've cut his hair 2 times. Right before they ever started Sister Wife's show, he would say, I want the surfer dude haircut. He had some major widow's peaks even back then, which was well over 10 years ago. He would have me use thinning shears on top to make what he had on top stand out more. As a hairstylist, we don't have confidentiality agreements, but you only need to worry if you become famous. There you go. And I believe that Cody's looking for a new one now. She was speculating about all the monitoring of this baby. Update. Thanks for all the amazing comments. So many have said this is very standard to have monitoring, especially after a tough delivery. Truett is super cute. Jed was a great coach, and Katie was a beast during the entire labour and delivery. I actually really like Katie. Something about her is actually real, and I like it. Jed dug her holding baby Truett after he was born. As I was watching delivery, I noticed that there were continually why would you sit there and watch the delivery? Continually monitoring his heart rate, which was normal, but Truett's rate kept dropping and dipping throughout the labour. When he was born, Truett was very quiet. It took some quiet for him to perk up and try to cry. As Jed pulled him to him, I noticed Truett had a pulse oximeter attached to his palm. As a mum of a child with a heart condition, I was wondering if any labour and delivery nurses could chime in. I sensed that something was going on with the baby because Katie was scheduled for induction. Monitoring his heart rate was very common. His heart dropped low during a lot of the labour and through delivery. I don't recall pulse oximeters being used on other infants born to Duggars. I know they are used to ensure oxygen and saturation for heart rates. If any of you know, let me know. Obviously, as a parent of a child with CHD, I was like, so experts chime in. Quite often in the hospital, they give it to you anyway. But anyway. And then she was complaining about the fact that they showed in the delivery that they showed his bottom. I saw a comment about she was not very happy. She was concerned about showing the baby's bottom. Well, it's a delivery. Baby cried right after being put on Katie's chest, just saying. You've lost me again. I don't see any relevance. Oh. Well, we're just on to the Katie Joy aspect of the thing. We're getting back to the other stuff shortly. So, just her reporting, Cal, leaves a little bit to be desired, in my opinion. And it wouldn't surprise me if there's another lawsuit coming up, particularly when the IBLP has actually sent her a message to say take down the photos. You know. And don't forget, whenever somebody uses her photo, she actually says that the photos are copyright to her, even though they're public. They're not her photos to share. I'm trying to follow it, but it loses me. But that's okay, Cal. It's very confusing. Oh, I need to show you a comment on my page as well, because there was a very interesting comment was put up of something that I did ages ago about a journalist in Tasmania that got contempt of court, and that person actually responded to my video. So let me just grab my comments. It was a long time ago. Here we go. So the person's name's Kane Dallow. Let me just pull up this. So this is what he said. Yeah, so it's going to be a year before the Chrisely case is in court. So this is what he says. Objection, hearsay. That's all you got to say. It says, "Hi Joe, I'm the journalist you're discussing in relation to the matter involving the current standing Liberal politician. Thank you for sharing your views and opinions in relation to this somewhat trivial case. I'd like to state for the record I did file a defence to the Federal Court of Australia, but the court clerk advised me the wrong application and my defence was submitted exactly 12 minutes too late, and therefore, in the court's eyes, I failed to supply a defence. However, there is in no part any mainstream media videos or articles that state the crucial point that they were simply only wanting one side of the version, and that's to sell a juicy story, nothing like about the actual facts. Which leads me to my next point, that I was indeed sentenced to a 9-month term of imprisonment, which I've served in its entirety and will soon be airing a story about it on my YouTube channel. What I can say is that whilst in jail, my legal team filed an appeal with the court, but it was dismissed even before it could be lodged on the grounds I didn't have merit for an appeals case to be heard. Another complete failure of our justice system. What you might find surprising is that upon the judge handing down the sentence, there was no mention of any gag order being placed on me, which would cease to make any comment relating to the case. That was never done in the sentencing hearing, nor mentioned during my term of imprisonment. Absolutely nothing, until the night before I was due for release, after an hour's order was made to gag me from addressing any information relating to the politician I originally featured the story about. So I will be running a feature story about my time in Risdon Prison, that's in Tasmania, the treatment in there, the events that took place which saw me spending an extended period in the ICU ward of the Royal Hobart Hospital, and just how much the Tasmanian justice system has failed inmates, correctional staff and family to those who are serving time. However, I won't be able to report on any details of the Liberal politician relating to the story because of this gag order. You might be interested to know that with the federal election coming up, I was directed and instructed by the Liberal Party that I be reminded of the gag order in place and what necessary action would take place if I was to breach those orders, given the federal election is looming. Very interesting indeed. Look forward to a follow-up story you might be doing. But I thank you for running an unbiased story. I really appreciate it. And it's Kane Dallow. So I thought let's reacquaint ourselves with Kane Dallow. So I did look it up. So let's have a look at what this story was about. So he was jailed. So we've just read what he said. It's funny that they've referred to him as convicted con man. So YouTuber and self-employed journalist, he was found guilty of 4 charges of contempt of court brought to him against Liberal MP Michael Ferguson. Mr. Ferguson initially launched court action against Dallow over 2 videos he made and published that contained defamatory allegations about him. During the proceedings, the court ordered Dallow to refrain from publishing and distributing videos. Instead, he created a 3rd video, giving an update on the legal action, repeating the defamatory allegations. The incident became the subject of the 1st contempt charge. They ordered he remove the 3rd video, and he intentionally disobeyed the order. This became the subject of the 2nd contempt charge. He then published a 4th video entitled Broken Parliament, in which he alleged the Federal Court of Australia was part of a ring of protection to protect politicians, acts to cover allegations of misconduct by politicians and give preferential treatments to politicians. So it became the subject of the 3rd and 4th contempt charges. So remember, he said in that all right, that's fine, Bella. He said that he needed that he spent some time in the prison. Dallow told the court the videos were a way to vent about what was happening to him. I decided to run my story on the basis that I felt it was in public interest. It was never a personal attack against Mr. Ferguson or his cabinet ministerial roles. of the government or anything like that. Justice O'Callaghan said Dallow's explanations and defence at the time had been difficult to understand and was nonsense. For Mr. Dallow to say what he said about the applicant was never a personal attack against him falls squarely into that category. He said Dallow's claim that the defamation case was continuing was not true. That says Dallow never filed a defence, and the court ruled in favour of Mr. Ferguson by default, finding the videos defamatory. So Mr. Dallow has actually said in the comment that he was 12 minutes late. They didn't accept it. When taking into consideration Dallow's remorse, Justice O'Callaghan noted that he'd sent Mr. Ferguson an email in which he apologised for any hardship his stories had caused, but Justice O'Callaghan dismissed the apology. In sentencing, Justice O'Callaghan said Dallow appeared not to be employed other than as a self-styled, self-employed journalist, nor did he have any assets of significance. He noted that Dallow had prior convictions, although none of them were contempt of court. So that was the story. So he was sentenced to a total of nine months in prison and ordered to pay the costs of the charges. So that is the man who has told this story here. So he's got 510 subscribers. So it's Taz News 24. I'll link his I'll put a link to his channel. It might be interesting. I mean, well, as I said, it would be very interesting to see whether Friendly Geordies will pick it up. But he's in Perth at the moment anyway. So here is his channel, I believe. Taz News 24 it's called. Your online news coverage. Okay, let's have a look. No, this is there. So this is the one. Oh, I think he's performing tonight. So that's the channel to that guy's YouTube page. I don't know. I've not seen it. I'm just going by what he has said in his comments. So something interesting has happened in the Northern Territory, and it's a shame Peter's not here, because this is where Peter lives, Northern Territory. So Chief Minister Michael Gunner has resigned after delivering his 2022 budget. Northern Territory Chief Minister Michael Gunner has resigned, saying the birth of his second child made him consider his future. He will continue as the member for Fanny Bay and move to the backbench. He made the announcement during his Northern Territory budget speech in Parliament. He served the minister as Chief Minister, so Premier, had been battered by only two things. Said serving the Territory has been battered by two things: his marriage and the birth of his two young boys. My head and my heart are no longer here. They are home. I have grappled with this decision for some weeks, and welcoming little Nash into the world sealed the deal. Nash, his second son, was born on April 29, 2022. His oldest, Hudson, turns 2 in April. Mr. Gunner and his wife, ABC journalist Christy O'Brien, married in December 2017 after meeting in 2010. So he said handing them the budget would be his final act as Chief Minister and Treasurer. Deputy Chief Minister Nicole Manderson will step into the top role in an acting capacity until the vote is held by the Labor caucus in the coming days for a permanent leader. Mr. Gunner said he told Ms. Manderson of his intentions on Friday last week, adding the Northern Territory was in safe hands. That's given me plenty of comfort as I come to a difficult decision in recent days. There was never a perfect time to step away, to walk away, to give others a go. But for me, for my family, this feels like the right time. He said he could no longer look Territorians in the eye and say he will give 100% to the role of Chief Minister. I've always given 100% to the job. Anything less is shortchanging the people who sent me here. If I can't do that, I shouldn't be in the chair. Mr. Gunner will today attend his final engagement as Northern Territory's Chief Minister, take a few weeks of paternity leave. Caucus will meet on Friday to elect a new leader. So this is the new deputy. This is the current leader. Mr. Gunner said there could be a new chief on Friday if the room meets a consensus. However, the process could take a month or so if there's a need for a ballot. The change of leadership will likely trigger a reshuffle of ministerial portfolios. Mr. Gunner did not say if he would consider other portfolios in the leadership change. I will support my team in any way and every way if I can. If they come to me, said, I'm not going to nose my way into a minister's portfolio, but I'm not looking for other jobs. I've got a job and it's a great job. I'm the member of Fanny Bay. Mr. Gunner was elected to the Inner Darwin seat of Fanny Bay in 2008. He became the Labor leader in 2015, with Mr. Gunner leading the Labor to its largest victory against a sitting government in Northern Territory history. He led the party to a second term in office in August 2020. Having campaigned mostly in the Northern Territory's early success avoiding widespread outbreaks during COVID. So in January 2020, he suffered a heart attack and shortly after underwent cardiac surgery. So there's been a lot of I can't remember what I was going to say. Yeah. So anyway, so he's stepping down. So that's another, So there you go. Oh, I'm wondering whether the heart attack had anything to do with it. His health had anything to do with it. So I don't know. Anyway, on that note, I'm going to love you all and leave you all. I need to probably take an early night. So I want to thank you all for joining me. Hopefully I'll be back sooner rather than later. I'm going to put timestamps in the description so everyone on the replay crew, you can go and have a look at the bit that you want to. Make sure more alarm bells going off. Another state prem walks, runs away, pre-election on the Lib side. No, he's a Labor guy. He's a Labor minister. But yeah, there's been a few. Yeah. So anyway, thank you all for watching. Make sure you hit like, hit subscribe if you haven't already. And I will catch you again next time. As I said, I don't know when that's going to be. I've still got a couple of assignments. I've got an assignment and I've got exam study to do. My head is spinning. My head is spinning with all the law stuff. It's very full on. So anyway, I will say to you, I will bid you all farewell and I will catch you again next time. Bye for now.